Join us, the Mr. and Mrs. Morgan you know, for a new 15-minute weekly recap about the most recent episode of Survivor Season 42.
Come on in. We'll appear in your podcast feeds every Wednesday morning, so you're all caught up before the newest episode airs on Wednesday night.
Like, subscribe, and share while you outwit, outplay, and outlast.
Oy, 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 oy.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan You Know podcasting network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and Hot Rod. How's it going, buddy?
Jimmy, it's going great, fine, wonderful. Usually I try to get to some witty, funny little thing right here, but there is so much wrestling news we have to get to that I'm going to try my best to not derail us this podcast and allow us to try to get to all of the things we need to get to. So you go right ahead, sir.
All right, I've got just a list of stuff we've got to go over. It's been a couple weeks now since we've sat down. Obviously, our very, very popular podcast last week with our Mount Rushmore took a lot from us. But let's just start with some bad news here. Big E gets dropped on his head by Ridge Holland, belly to belly over the belly to belly suplex, lands right on his neck and head. Obviously hurt right away. He got carted off, thumbs up, and then, only as Big E can, cuts the nicest, most sincere promo from his hospital bed in a neck brace because he broke his neck.
It was good to see his fingers moving, good to see him smiling, and there's just bad juju around Ridge Holland, man. Like, he gets his nose broken, and now Big E's hurting that, and the belly-to-belly suplex on the outside, it didn't look good from the start. It's awfully tricky to try to throw somebody Big E's size into that move, and it did not look good. You could see his neck hit very, very badly, and he was not shown again on SmackDown, really. You know what I mean? The rest of that match, they just cut up to the ring, and boom, we were in and out and done with it. So it just proves to me, I guess, because I love this part of the business. You know it more than I, but it just proved to me how professional those guys are. Those other three, like, clearly knew something was up, but they also knew, hey, man, it's on us to make sure that people almost don't know anything's up, and we got to finish this.
Okay, I'm not going to rant too much today. I promise you, okay? Because there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. What the hell are they talking about Butch? Like, they've never seen him before. Oh, who's this guy? His name's Butch. It's Pete Dunne. He's been a champion. He's wrestled for years in your company. He's been on Raw before, I believe, as Pete Dunne, our main event at least. Pete Dunne is amazing. And now he's Butch, Rod. He's Butch. He's a bushwhacker.
Listen, I don't know that guy like you do, so I don't have any past, a build-up for him. I kind of like the idea of factions. I've been pro-factions for a while on this podcast. Bring me, a faction together, and if we got some Irish guys that are angry and want to fight and want to drink a little bit, I'm for it, right? I don't know how culturally great it is for the WWE, but they've got a long history of that anyway, so let's just roll with it.
Okay, so I actually don't mind the look of Pete Dunne, or Butch, if you will, but I just don't understand why they have to change his name and just like erase his history. That's so stupid. Why would you do that? But people coming up, people going down, somebody who went down and is the champion. We have a new NXT champion, and it's Dolph Ziggler, Rod. Dolph Ziggler wins the NXT championship over Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker last week on NXT. Can you believe we've got a new champ in Dolph Ziggler, and where are they going with this?
I don't know very well. You're far more familiar with NXT than I am, but what I will say is Dolph Ziggler just impresses me in his match work. He just really does. So I guess maybe you then allow some people to hopefully get over and hopefully learn a little bit with Dolph Ziggler being involved in a few more NXT matches, I guess. So in a weird way, maybe it's the marriage of what you have always wanted NXT to be, but what Vince also needs wrestling to be. He gets his Dolph Ziggler, who he knows who Dolph Ziggler is and can make him feel okay about it as champion. But then, some actual development of guys, because, say what you will about Dolph Ziggler, maybe it seems a little old with people, his gimmick's a little stale, whatever, but that guy can absolutely work, knows how to get people over, and people could stand to learn a lot from that dude about the business of professional wrestling.
It's strange that you had NXT for years and years being this amazing wrestling promotion and yet never promoted on Raw. Hardly ever. Even when they did the Survivor Series thing, they really weren't promoted that much, but they've been promoting them a lot more now. I really like how they're doing the Braun Breaker and Ziggler feud over Raw and NXT to kind of promote both shows. I've tuned in a couple
of times, Jimmy. They've gotten me. Your example right there is in your co-host. I've decided to tune into a little bit more NXT because they're giving me a quick update of the storylines that are going on, so I don't feel as foreign waiting wading into those waters.
Yeah, I watched the title match on NXT, and we have a lot of things going on in our lives, and we can't always we can't devote 7 hours of a week to wrestling. But it was a good match. Ciampa's always been one of my favorites. He's extremely underrated in Vince McMahon's eyes. He should be on the main roster moving forward. But Braun Breaker now. So are we doing Braun Breaker and Ziggler at the NXT show, which, by the way, is the Saturday of WrestleMania? So you need to go to a 2-hour NXT show and then a 3-hour WrestleMania. So have fun with that. But are they going to do it there, or is Braun Breaker, is he just going to come up to the main roster? What do you think, Rod?
My thoughts would be he's just coming up to the main roster, right? Because I was quite impressed with that debut. I don't know if it was a debut on Raw or not. You know what I mean?
It was.
Because,
yeah, on Raw, it was his first Raw, yeah.
Yeah, that was an incredible debut, if you ask me, right? I thought that was a great match. Like, that guy, he seemed to have it, right? And then I kind of was like, this guy looks familiar. And then I texted in with you. You're like my walking friend, wrestling encyclopedia at all times.
Sure.
I can just text you with these wrestling questions at all times. If only the listeners had the ability that I do to just text Jimmy, right? Forget about the internet.
Well, we'll talk about texting people in wrestling here in a minute.
Yeah, that's a good point. There we go. I was teasing that out, but what was I saying? I lost it.
Yeah, so did I. I have no idea what you're saying. That was really funny. You were asking me about Braun Breaker coming up.
Oh yes, Steiner. So I texted you. I said, he's a Steiner
Yeah.
boy, right? So then that means he's got it in his blood, which I would hope, or I guess not hope. I would think that Vince would want to use that to his advantage based on what we know about Vince. So I wonder that he appeared as Braun Breaker and that we didn't just make him a Steiner at his first appearance in the WWE. The way we did with Rocky Maivia when he made his first appearance in the WWE.
Yeah, they really. There's been a lot of talk of why Braun Breaker, not just I can't remember what his actual in-ring name was, whatever, Steiner. But why just not do that? I mean, he barks. He wears the same singlet his father wears. He's great on the mic like his uncle. So I think they might bring him up. I think he might be somebody, unless it's Almost, that wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I think that'd be very good for Braun Breaker coming up.
I think you hit it first there. Almost has got to be earmarked for that. Otherwise, what are we doing with him? What are we wasting camera time on Almost and nobodies? Because that's what it is. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Almost is a huge attraction, but you're giving him screen time with people that you're doing nothing with. So if Almost doesn't win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, what are we doing?
So we talk about that. And you're like, okay, he can't have a long match. Well, Brock Lesnar doesn't have long matches. Bill Goldberg doesn't have long matches. So why can't Almost be a world champion and have 3-minute matches and just destroys people?
Well, and here's my question. His whole gimmick is that he's just angry and he wants to show people why is he not challenging real people then? You know what I mean? Like, that's my question with Almost. If we're supposed to be so scared of him and he's just walking around the corner ready to fight anybody, why not go out to the ring and fight somebody Almost instead of picking on the 24/7 champs and all these other people they got him fighting?
Because the people we like, he would fight and he would win, and I don't think we would like that, Rod. So let's just calm down on that for a little bit, okay? But speaking about texting, listen, and I know you've got a lot to say about Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn over this past few days have gone on a kind of a war on social media and then also in the world itself. Sami Zayn gave out Johnny Knoxville's number, but then Johnny Knoxville flew a plane above L.A., I think, with Sami Zayn's number, and Sami continuously tweets out pictures of his phone with like 20,000 messages, all these FaceTimes, all these. Listen, I love what they're doing. Yeah, we know it's not real, okay? But it's fantastic.
Yeah, if you would have told me, 10 years ago that at some point Johnny Knoxville was going to be involved in a match at WrestleMania, I might have believed that because Vince loves having celebrities involved. But if you would have told me at that time that Johnny Knoxville would be completely over and possibly like the third most popular babyface rolling into WrestleMania, I would have said that you were crazy. And now I kind of buy it and I'm into it, but at the same time, I think to myself, how sad is it that this is the only kind of babyface heat the WWE can generate is bringing Johnny Knoxville out. But when his song hits, that crowd pops.
It does. And listen, I'm not the biggest fan of taking up time at WrestleMania for matches like this, and there's 3 of them this year. But listen, it'll be fun. I think Knoxville will get the win over Sami Zayn somehow, some way. It'll have the crowd go home happy. It'll have the crowd go home happy. So that's good. Let's take a look at something from SmackDown. Charlotte and Ronda really kind of got into it. Interesting altercation at the end of SmackDown with Charlotte beating Ronda Rousey up on top of a car. I thought that was they had some interesting angles on that, didn't they? Up close on Ronda's face. It was I don't know. Does it have the heat of a night one WrestleMania main event?
You know what, actually, I think about, I love that you said heat, because this is what I was thinking. Oddly enough, I think that was given extra heat by the fact that they chose to not have Cole or McAfee. Well, clearly they couldn't have McAfee say anything, and we'll get to that. But to not have Cole say anything during it, right? I think that gave it a little bit of extra heat, because it made it seem, again, we understand it's scripted, but it made it seem a little bit more real, right? They had been they each had on different stuff at that point, almost as if like they were just going to their cars to go home, and they decided to get into it, and then they smash cut to it. Nobody said, "Oh my God, this is going on in the back." They just smash cut to it, and Cole didn't say a word, and then we just saw the trademark thing in the end, and it was in the end of SmackDown. So I thought that actually did give it a little bit of heat. I mean, I'm not incredibly excited to see this match, because I don't like Ronda's mic work. I buy her smiling, and I need her to be a babyface. I'm totally with you on that, but I don't love her mic work right now. But you know how much I love the Queen Charlotte Flair, so I'm a mark for this match anyway. But I get what you're saying about there's something missing.
I think the Bianca and Becky buildup has been a little bit better, because Bianca, with the whipping Becky's stomach, and Becky showing all those welts, which is ridiculous. And then the throat injury, Becky's tweeting out looks like hell. That's been good. I think it's just missing a little something. They want it to be bigger than it is right now, and I don't know if they've got 2 weeks, Rod, 2 weeks to get us back into wanting this as the main event.
Well, if there's anybody on the female side that can generate some more heat, I totally believe it to be Charlotte Flair. So we're probably going to get something pretty good next SmackDown.
Speaking of SmackDown and speaking of McAfee, so two huge stories, the Austin and Owens, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But then Pat McAfee obviously had Vince McMahon on his show about a week or two ago, and they had a really interesting conversation. But in that, McMahon said, "You're going to have a worthy opponent at WrestleMania," and it's Austin Theory. They tried to do something on SmackDown where the two of them got into each other. And Rod, I don't think people care about Austin Theory.
You think?
I know I'm going out on a limb, jumping off the bridge here, right? I'm going out on the they just don't care. So when Adam Cole and Pat McAfee went together, it was Adam Cole, who's a longtime veteran, really good in the mic, and he and McAfee just went at it, and obviously it wasn't real. Yeah, we know, but it's like it had that thing that you need. This really doesn't. It's kind of forced upon us, and I'm nervous that they're not going to get the attention that I think Vince McMahon wants it to get. I think it's going to hurt Theory a lot more than McAfee, because McAfee will be fine. I'm assuming Theory gets the win here, but I don't know. I don't know if I buy it.
Well, of course not. You think it's bad for Austin Theory that the only way he can get over at WrestleMania is to get into it with one of the commentators? I mean, of course that's not good for Austin Theory. You know what I mean? But what I do think it may do, right, is McAfee is going to possibly be able to turn heelish a tad bit, right? If they continue with the storyline Cole was saying of, "No, Matt and Pat, you've taken it too far," right? And then they escorted him out of the building, right? Like, possibly you maybe garner some sympathy for Austin Theory if McAfee takes it too far, right? A la Rock with the chair shots to Mankind, which we referenced on our Mount Rushmore episode.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if you could do something like that, because I agree with you. McAfee is so over that I don't think he can do much to hurt himself other than seem incredibly cool to be one of the commentators who pulled off a pretty realistic match at WrestleMania.
I think it's going to be interesting for him to toe that line on his show every day.
Yes.
The boys are playing along pretty well with it, but AJ Hawk doesn't give a fuck. AJ Hawk doesn't care. He continuously kind of rubs on McAfee, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. He's got to be careful on that, but I think it'll be a good match. No one's going to care.
You're right about that, but I still love that they have Theory involved in it because I believe we have to be invested in Austin Theory. We just have to, right? I mean, people aren't buying him right now, but clearly we can see the raw tools are there. So we have to be invested in Austin Theory, and why not have him fight Pat McAfee, I guess, because then he's not taking up time with anybody else we really do care about.
Well, I mean, and here's something. If you really want to get Austin Theory over, do you put him in with someone well, we'll talk about someone in a second that I think you might be able to put him in with. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins lose the tag team champions. There is no path, Rod, for them to WrestleMania. No path whatsoever for two of the probably top, what would you say, 5 or 4 stars in your company. They can't go to WrestleMania, Rod.
Yeah.
So Kevin Owens does the only thing he can think of, and he calls out Stone Cold Steve Austin. How'd you like that?
Well, first off, I want to say belts are just changing hands left and right.
Left and right. Who the hell cares?
Leading up to WrestleMania, belts are just changing hands here. Excited to see him back in RK Bro's grasp and have some RK Bro thoughts. If we have enough time, we'll get to those. But
for sure,
what I want to say is, great, wonderful, awesome seeing the Rattlesnake shoot his promo, and we'll talk about how they decided to throw that in there. But I got to start with my guy Seth Rollins is getting completely screwed here, and I'm not excited about it. What are we doing with the architect? I've got to hear Burn It Down. I got to see Seth Rollins dancing around in some sort of obnoxious coat. I got to see it at WrestleMania, Jim.
So, dirt sheets, whatever, rumors, all that stuff. Originally, Seth Rollins and Shane McMahon were going to wrestle at WrestleMania. I would have destroyed that. Okay,
no, I'd have been such a mark for that match. That match would have been just for me. That match would have been just for me, Jimmy. That would have been narrow casting to the Yeah We Know podcast, and I would have loved it.
Would have been casting to the other chair in the Yeah We Know podcast. I'll tell you that.
Listen to you. The views of Rod Morgan do not necessarily reflect Jimmy Jamriska. You just went there on me.
And we're gonna find out a lot when people are hearing this. We're gonna find out a lot tonight. Is Cody Rhodes gonna sign with the WWE? And if he does, and he comes in on Raw, he and Rollins would be one hell of a matchup for WrestleMania, don't you think?
I'd love to see it. Listen, I need to see Seth Rollins there fighting anybody. And
you don't really care.
No, but I like a lot of what I saw out of Cody Rhodes in my AEW time checking in with him. I liked a lot of what I saw out of Cody Rhodes. Liked a lot of Stardust, believe it or not. Liked a lot of Stardust back in the day. So, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Let's get some – I need Seth Rollins to fight somebody. So, if that needs to be Cody Rhodes, and I need the WWE to get another big headline. So, if that's Cody Rhodes signing and is going to be at WrestleMania, let's get it done. I'm a mark for this WrestleMania. That's a big switch up here. I'm in. I'm all in for almost every match. I'm excited. They've got me, Jim. So, why not bring Cody Rhodes on board?
That's awesome. I love it. So Owens comes out and does a really good job. Listen, Kevin Owens can talk anybody.
He was on fire.
Kevin Owens is awesome, and he calls out Stone Cold Steve Austin. He wants him to be on the Kevin Owens show. So we kind of heard it was going to be a match. Now it's a confrontation. Basically, the same stuff's going to happen. It's just not called a match anymore. And even Stone Cold, which was, okay, first of all, here's a little tip for you. If you have Kevin Owens doing a huge promo at the end of Raw, and there's like 1 minute left, and it's over, and it's Austin, I'm going to get him, and then, bam, Austin's music hits, and it ain't dirty. Austin, it's a graphic. Dirty. That was bad, dude, for the people in the building and for the people watching. But the people in the building, oh my goodness. They had to cut quickly because they started booing, I guarantee you.
I can only imagine. I was sitting in the Morgan You Know studios, a.k.a. my basement, on Tuesday afternoon after I got home from work, watching Raw there because I didn't get a chance to get to it Monday night because it's something me and the Mrs. Morgan You Know had going on. And sure. I still popped up at the end of my seat there when Kevin Owens was cutting that promo, A, because he was on fire, and then B, because I heard the glass breaking, and I was like, oh my God, they're bringing him out before Mania. And then I was like, oh, they just made a promo. This is so dirty.
So on Twitter, the next day, Austin says, I'm going to be there. I'm going to, whip your ass. One last can. This is it. Call it a match. Call it a confrontation. Call it whatever you want.
Kevin Owens for awakening something inside of me that I thought was buried for 19 years.
I really wish it was a match. I mean, I don't care if it's 2 minutes,
What if he comes out? What if he comes out in the knee braces, though, Jim? What if he comes out in the knee braces?
No, he might.
And then all
I
of a
think
sudden
he
we turn
might.
it into a match. What if that's what's happening here?
It could be a Rock Eric Rowan type thing from WrestleMania a few years ago when it was literally a 5-second match and 3 of those where the guy got pinned.
Yes.
So, I mean, it could easily be that where Owens goes for a stunner, gets flipped around, and gets stunned by Austin. It's going to be that place is going to blow up. It's going to blow the roof off.
Because KO's
the place.
definitely, I mean, KO's taking all types of falls here. You know what I mean? He's probably going to get soaked in beer. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's going to get multiple middle fingers thrown in his face. You know what I mean? Like we're going to run the gamut here. Are we not?
Oh, everything. Because people in Texas are going to hate him because he's got 2 more weeks to destroy Texas.
Yeah, he
so,
sure does.
I mean,
he also destroyed a couple other Texas legends before he even got to Stone Cold there.
JBL.
Yeah. JBL's sitting at home. Well, he probably wanted to sit at home because he's still involved in WWE, isn't he? In some sort of role.
It depends on the day, I think, with him.
Well, but you say that about so many of the guys, so
yeah.
I guess I should never ask that question. But anyway,
No.
He was watching somewhere and he's like, "Man, look at me taking shrapnel here."
Yep. And then Booker T, that was funny. Didn't mention Undertaker. Undertaker's from Texas, but
I guess you don't want to sully the Taker on his Hall of Fame weekend.
No, you don't.
But then remember we talked about, speaking of that real quick, I said I wasn't going to sidejourn, but this one will be real quick. You mentioned Taker and Hall of Fame. I mean,
sure.
Everybody loves Vader, but you and I kind of talked like maybe it was only going to be Taker. Now we're getting Vader. What's going on with that?
I think we're going to get 6 or 7 people, but I think they're only going to do Taker and maybe Vader. It depends who else is in there. They're going to only do
Vader
1 or
on
2
TV, after all.
On TV, and then they're going to go from there. Vader was more a Hall of Famer in all the other areas that he wrestled in, not as much in WWE. They started off strong and they kind of went down a lot, but that's a lot of WWE.
Drink at home, by the way. Jimmy Jamriska just talked about somebody who started out hot in the WWE that did nothing. Drink, by the way.
Let's go to some AEW notes real quick before we go to WrestleMania cards. Non-AEW and non-WWE. Scott Hall, as we're recording this, had 3 heart attacks after hip surgery. So best wishes to Scott Hall.
Yeah, shout out to the bad guy.
Yeah, that man has gone through some stuff. ROH was bought by Tony Khan outright. I think the biggest thing for AEW is the rights to All In, which was basically your first pay-per-view that led to AEW. Ring of Honor owned that. But Tony Khan said that he's going to use that as he's going to book it. He's going to use it as kind of a developmental for AEW. So that'll be interesting to see what he does with that. They are bringing in a ton of people, Rod, including Jeff Hardy and Lord Regal, William Regal. Nice to see him in AEW. What do you think about the Ring of Honor purchase, and is this going to hurt AEW at all?
I really do wonder, right? I've brought it up before, and I know nobody's going to take my opinion as being biased here because I'm the number one AEW heel out there in the wrestling podcast land. Our good friend Gig Guy Warner is not here to just shout me down.
Oh, he would destroy you. What are you doing?
Yeah, but I mean, I do worry about that, Jim, right? I mean, what you guys like is that these matches get to be long and they get to be great matches based on technique and long-term storytelling and all of that, right? And I just wonder at what point do some of those things start getting sacrificed because there's just too much of a beast to feed, right? I love that Keith Lee's over there now. I love that William Regal's over there now to use his accent. You give me an accent and you can read me the phone book and I'm all about it, right? So I get it, let's do it. Jeff Hardy's there. Matt Hardy's already there. We can get the Hardy brothers back together. I mean, it's going to feel really, really good. But next thing you know, AEW is doing a bunch of nostalgia plays and putting out a bunch of big stars who aren't fighting great wrestling matches, and there's too many storylines to keep track of. And next thing you know, you guys at AEW are complaining about the same things that you make fun of WWE for. So I just worry about what point we may be approaching that. But again, no one's going to take my opinion as not being biased.
You're not wrong. I think it's time to calm down a little bit, although I do love having people getting jobs. Something, Rod, that we definitely need to
I'm not
watch.
Anti-jobs.
Yeah.
Don't try to paint
question.
me as anti-jobs here. I mean,
No
I know
question.
I come off as heel sometimes, but don't paint me as anti-jobs.
Since day one, you've hated jobs. Some things that we have to watch, we have to do a better job of. But Revolution was one of the best pay-per-views, I think, reviewed ever. Jericho
I think what we can agree to is we'll try to get our buddy Gig Guy on here more often, and he can catch everybody up on AEW. That's easily what we can do. And you know what we can even do? I don't even have to be involved in that segment. You and Gig Guy can just record for a couple minutes, and we can run those, and that'd be good enough for the people.
The Punk MJF dog collar match was just brutal. Moxley and Danielson had one of the best matches of the year.
Well, of course, Danielson's going to have a good match. I got mad respect for that guy.
And then it was interesting. Jericho and Kingston, the first move.
You mean Mount Rushmore? You mean Mount Rushmore?
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
Jericho?
I'm sorry, I forgot. Mount Rushmore, Chris Jericho, and Kingston. They had a spot where they did something where it looked like Jericho hurt his neck. This was a week before obviously Big E hurt himself.
Well, if
but
we're talking
that
about
played
spots at Revolution.
That played into the matchup, so that was kind of an interesting storyline there. So, a couple quick AEW. We had to get some stuff in there because it's busy.
Hold on. I got an AEW nugget. If we're talking spots at Revolution, isn't that the same pay-per-view where 62-year-old man Sting decided to take a fall from the balcony onto tables? Wasn't that the same place?
Oh, he can't wrestle anymore, Rod. He retired. He retired like 5 years ago. He can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you and I on this podcast one time when we were actually talking about AEW, when I was more willing to talk about it, I watched him and Darby be involved in a match, and I said,
look at you knowing people. I love it.
Hey, listen, I'm a wrestling podcaster these days. I'm all in. I break heel against the AEW because somebody has to. Darn it, you know what I mean? Somebody has to.
Yeah.
There's just too much love for AEW on the Twitter sphere out there in the wrestling world. So somebody's got to break heel. Anyway, you and I both said Sting, great, love having him around. We don't need to see him wrestle again. And AEW was like, hold my beer.
Yes, they did.
Jump off of a 25-foot fall through a table.
Hey, he's doing it. It's great. I think he's having fun. It's so many decades that he's been wrestling, and he keeps, even though he looks the same, he keeps reinventing himself. So that's amazing. So good for him.
See, I got an AEW take for you, Gig Guy. Don't come at me.
Gig Guy's on the floor right now. Gig Guy had a really nice AEW on his YouTube, AEW kind of a audition tape, if you will. So go see that if you're a Gig Guy fan.
Speaking of that, one last time, we're just going to say, if for some reason you're listening to this podcast and you're with us 26 minutes in and you did not listen to the Rushmore episode, I don't know what you were doing, but tell your friends. It was an incredibly entertaining podcast to listen to.
I would say about 63% more people listen to that than they had the week before. So thank you very much for all the Morgan You Know podcast listeners. If you want to email us, it's at yeahweknowpod@gmail.com, at yeahweknowpod on Twitter. Let's talk real quick. Let's go over night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania, and then we'll get out of here. Does that sound good, Rod?
That's absolutely great because like I said, man, I'm marking out for almost every match here at WrestleMania. And when we get to the RK Bro match, remind me, I got certain thoughts there.
Okay, so night 1's looking pretty solid. We got the KO show with Kevin Owens and Steve Austin. That'll definitely get the crowd going. We have Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. That should be a pretty quick match, I would think. They're doing decent work there. I got to give them credit for the story they're telling there, man. I buy Happy Corbin's character doing what he's doing, and I like that they're doing the one thing they can to try to make somebody a babyface with Drew McIntyre, and it's working. Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul, which will be a match that goes way too long, I have a feeling. And then we have Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, which I'm looking forward to that. And Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's night 1.
I think night 1's going to go to the ladies. I think 2 of the best matches in there are going to be Becky Lynch versus the EST and Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair.
I think, a nice Seth Rollins Cody Rhodes match in there would look pretty nice too, I think. I think that would even it out pretty well.
Yeah, we need Seth Rollins to save Saturday night is essentially what you're saying, Jimmy. I love that. Thank you. You're playing right into my hands there with that.
We also have a to be determined, the Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and what's the guy's name?
Oh, you mean the Freddie Mercury wannabe? Rick Boogs?
For the SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
There's a guy on Survivor that sort of has a Rick Boogs look to him. So it's like a Morgan crossover there for us this year. We're diving into the waters with the Survivor recap show, and now there's a guy on Survivor that's like a power lifter and has a bit of a Rick Boogs look to him.
Maybe it is Rick Boogs. Night 2. Check this.
Although, by the way, I'm for that, right? I'm for that. The Usos, I like that we made a big deal about how long the Usos have been tag champions. The Usos are great, right? The Usos are great villain tag teams. They're great. Those guys are good at what they do with the We the Ones. Those guys have presence when they're in the ring, but they've ran through everybody. We've seen them fight the Street Profits. We've seen them fight the Viking Raiders, right? We've seen them fight everybody. So why not Rick Boogs and Shinsuke, right? We got to do something with Shinsuke. He cannot just be an entrance. We have to do something with Shinsuke.
I love the fact you said that, but he was Intercontinental Champion forever.
But he didn't fight anybody.
I know he didn't fight anybody.
An entrance.
And then Ricochet wins the Intercontinental Championship, and I'm not going to say his name on night 2 yet, so we got to figure that out, hopefully.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of like Ricochet's Intercontinental Champion, though, but I think maybe Sami Zayn still might have that belt around his waist when he fights Knoxville.
Oh, who knows? It could come back. Yeah, you're right. We still have 2 weeks. Night 2, we have Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. We talked about that already. Sami Zayn against Johnny Knoxville. That could be an opening match type thing for Night 2, just to get the crowd really into everything. We have Carmella and Queen Zelina versus Sasha Banks and Naomi.
We got to get the
Rhea
Banks
Ripley.
off. We got to get the Banks off of Mela and the Queen. We have to.
Yeah.
I don't buy either of those chicks as wrestlers right now, and I know a lot of people like Zelina. I do, but like just I don't buy them in a ring with almost anybody else in the women's division right now. There's no excuse for them to be champions.
Look for that maybe to turn into a 4-way as well, but. Yeah, we'll see. Edge and AJ Styles. I mean, that could be an opening match.
That's my girl Rhea Ripley, her and Liv Morgan. I like them together. I also I noticed that we kind of had a different top for Rhea Ripley, more of just a tank top, quite top, which I have also spoken to. If we start to soften her a little bit more, it might make her more attractive in Vince's eyes, and I think we may be headed down that path.
That's interesting thought there. Yeah. So
I don't want to sound sexist. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound sexist, but we just have to be real about what Vince McMahon, who still runs this company, thinks.
I don't think you're wrong there. I don't think that's sexist. I think that's just being observant. Edge versus AJ Styles will be hopefully a classic match. Hopefully they're both on the
I want to get your thoughts on this one. What do you think about this match? What do you think about what they're doing with Edge? You love both of these guys. What do you think?
I need AJ. Well, see, we haven't seen AJ really since he got the living hell beat out of him. Edge is going to a dark place right now. He's a really great character, but AJ's got to come out full babyface. It's got to be Jedi and Sith coming up here. Totally light, totally dark, and AJ does need to win and win clean. That has to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, right? I totally agree with you. I need to go back and watch this Undertaker AJ Styles cinematic match because I've not watched it, but I have such mad respect for AJ Styles, and I should probably do some Taker retrospective leading up to his Hall of Fame here. So maybe I'll watch that match and I'll be able to report back on the next episode what I thought of that because I love AJ Styles. The guy bit repetitive moves, but you know what? That's old school, right? I mean, that's what some of the greatest wrestlers of all time did, right? They had a script that they run through. Heck, Big E, who we talked about earlier, he had a script that he ran through with basically the same moves all the time. We loved him for it, so I'm not going to knock AJ for it.
Well, remember, AJ's also been in tag team purgatory for a little while, resting up, getting better. So he'll be fine. And then we have
those guys could be involved in maybe the big fall of WrestleMania, right? Like maybe one of the bigger spots come out of one of those two guys, don't you think? Like one of the highlights that maybe makes social media, or am I wrong there because they're both just a little too old?
Well, Knoxville's on the card. Knoxville's on the card, so anything can happen. He could fall off the big screen they have at the stadium. And then we have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, winner take all unification match. We'll see how long that lasts for the championship. That's the big one. That's what everyone's waiting for. If it was at the end of an 8-hour WrestleMania, I don't know if it would be as pumped, but I think that's going to be a terrific matchup.
I think they're doing a pretty good job telling this story here, right? Brock getting over as the babyface is really, really well. And I think that like we've found yet another level for the tribal chief, right? With the me, the cameraman, these commentators, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of even a different turn for even the chief. And I mean, we're going to be headed to him being the champion for 2 straight years, are we not? I mean, that has to be where they're headed with Roman Reigns here. So he's going to unify the belts, right? Yeah,
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to be the champion at next year's WrestleMania still, which is just insane. And hopefully they give us some good storylines with him. But
let's talk about Madison Square Garden though, real quick, because we love to reveal to the people when I text you. So my thought to you was, okay, this is a great highlight that they can show, and I understand that it happened at New York's biggest arena, and they can make that seem like a big deal. But like, why choose to have that big of a story point leading to your WrestleMania match be a house show that you only then show as highlights? I thought that was a bit odd.
Well, and I texted you back that they promoted this house show on TV, which they haven't done since, the JACC, back in the 80s. I still remember those on Saturday night, seeing those promos. But they promoted it hard, and they really wanted you to believe something huge was going to happen in that main event. And it was Austin Theory, and he got beaten in 30 seconds. Rollins and Reigns had a match, and then they said, it wasn't going to be a match, and it's just a mystery opponent. But then they went back to Rollins again, and that was only a 4-minute match. So when your 2 title matches involving three of the biggest stars in the company go for 7 minutes, you want to leave the crowd with something different. And I think also this shows that, hey, if you go to a house show, you might see something crazy happen. Now, this is in New York. It's not really going to happen anywhere else necessarily, especially with a Brock Lesnar. But you
Brock
never
Lesnar's
know.
not showing up at Omaha. He's
No,
not showing
not
up
at
for
all.
an Omaha house show. Actually, that's probably closer to where he's located in Canada. But.
Yeah, not wrong. So I think that's why it happened. Yeah, I just think that's
thought it
why
was
happened.
odd. You know what I mean? Like, give us that on a SmackDown. Brock Lesnar's bumping back and forth between each show. Heck, you bring Roman on Raw again to get another pop there. You know what I mean? I found it odd, but I guess I get it. You know what I mean? New York serves a lot of monsters. It's the biggest city in America, so I mean, I get it.
Well, we've got 2 weeks to go to WrestleMania.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Again, I'm sorry, but we're getting out of here and still pretty early, ahead of 40 minutes. We're
Sure.
even earlier than that. But RK Bro, I really
Oh
think,
yeah, we
Jimmy,
forgot about that. What the hell was that?
I really
My bad.
think, Jimmy, that we are leading to RK Bro possibly busting at WrestleMania, right? I mean, we had the big moment where Orton's hugging Riddle and saying, I don't have a lot of friends in this business and I'm having a great time and you're my friend. And like, I can only see that then, you know, you get some serious heat on Riddle if he just kicks Orton in the back of the neck, right? And it like leads, you know, Riddle to some bigger place. I mean, that's the classic way in the WWE to turn a guy evil, right? To basically turn him corporate, to go back to my Attitude days. Right?
Oh,
Like when
please
The
have
Rock
him
went
get a
corporate.
haircut and start speaking regular. That
That's
would
what
be
I'm saying.
fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. And again, you talk about how Vince wants to do the same old thing all the time, and yes, it gets on our nerves at times, but other times, wouldn't you love to see that? Wouldn't you love to see Riddle stop just being stoned and coming out and kicking the flops off and all of the above? Wouldn't you just love to see him go corporate for a second? That would just get so much heat. I don't know for how long, but it would get so much heat.
Well, what if he wins the championship in the inevitable tournament they're going to have when Roman Reigns has to vacate one of the belts as corporate Riddle, and then you build a SummerSlam with Orton finally taking out Riddle, because everyone thinks Orton's going bad, but Riddle going bad is an interesting look because Orton called somebody his friend.
Yeah, see, that's what
I was waiting for an RKO that whole time. I was like, okay. Oh, he's.
I want to go the other way. I think we talk about it, right? We talk about how it's hard for them to make baby faces. Right now, Randy Orton is a baby face, almost
Correct.
based just solely on the fact that he's with Riddle and people just are giving him mad respect for the records he's broke for number of Raw matches and pay-per-view matches. And so, like, don't mess with it. You don't make baby faces well other than paying Brock Lesnar huge amounts of money to pop back in when he wants to. Keep Randy Orton good and turn Riddle. I think it gets you much more heat and many more storylines.
I agree with that. Anything else before we sign off today, Mr. Rod?
No, I mean, I hope that episode was enjoyable for the people. You and I can go back and forth pretty quickly because, frankly, we've known each other since we were in elementary school, so we just have a bit of a pitter-patter back and forth with one another, so I hope we weren't too fast-paced for everybody.
We did go pretty fast there. I think the first 3 minutes we went through like 7 things, but that's all right. It's kind of fun. It's how we do it when we text, too. It's like, what happened here? This is what happened. Okay, fair enough. We have a lot coming up this week on the Morgan. You know, obviously we had there's nothing going on in sports, so we don't really have to do a Balls and Brew this week, do we?
No, we will be recording Brawls and Brew a little bit earlier in the week. We normally record on Thursdays. We're going to record a little earlier in the week so that the episode will be out for you Thursday morning. So when you're making your last minute bracket changes, because let's be honest, we all look at our brackets again Thursday morning. Listen to our guys Josh Williams and Chris King break down a little bit for you. And I believe there was a commercial that ran at the beginning of this episode, but I'll remind you again. Mrs. Morgan, you know, and I are big Survivor fans. We have another little new thing we're working out for you. When you wake up Wednesday morning, maybe your Wednesday morning routine, maybe driving to work, maybe driving home from work, we got a little 15, 20-minute episode recapping Survivor so you can refresh on what happened last week ahead of that night's episode. So check that out as well on Wednesday.
You've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan You Know podcasting network.
That's right, Hot Rod. I promise that I will try to be half as entertaining as our guy, Gig Guy, was in last week's Mount Rushmore episode moving forward. And I also pledge that we will have Gig Guy on here checking in, doing more AEW reports. I hear you people in the streets. We're coming for you with more AEW action here on the Morgan You Know podcast network. Yeah, we know, in the ring with Jimmy and Hot Rod. WrestleMania season.